I'm Greg Case, and I'm the executive pastry chef for Foodie's Urban Market in Boston and their other location in Duxbury, Mass. And I'm here to share with you this recipe for a basic sponge cake that you can do 100 things with. And I've actually written a book that explains how to do that. But I'm just going to show you the basic cake right now, which is a hot milk sponge cake. And it's pretty simple. You just need some flour, eggs, butter, sugar, and milk. But to get started, we're going to take our cake pans and prepare them for the cake batter. And so we're going to butter them and coat the pans with some flour. And the reason why we coat the pans with flour is it creates a seal around the cake so that when you are going to work with the cake after it's baked, it makes it easier to cut it in half and things. And so once the flour's in the pan, you want to make sure you tap it so you don't have any big pockets of flour. And we'll do that again. Now we're going to make the batter, and whenever you're following a recipe, I recommend that you read through the recipe. It's sort of like getting on the road to take a trip, and the recipe is your map. And then gather all your ingredients, make sure you have it. You don't want to be in the middle of the recipe and realize you have no eggs. The recipe calls for you to have room temperature eggs, which we have here in this bowl. However, if you haven't planned ahead, which is usually me, I never plan ahead, you can warm them up by taking the eggs while they're in the shell, placing them in a bowl, and running hot tap water over them for 3 or 4 minutes, and that will bring them to room temperature. Why do you want your eggs at room temperature? Eggs are basically protein, especially the white is all protein. And when protein is cold, it's stiff. It's like if you're going to go work out in the gym, you want to loosen up your muscles. So that's why you want the egg whites to be warm, because then they can expand and balloon and absorb all that air, and you get a nice, light, fluffy cake. If you start with cold eggs, that doesn't happen the same way. So it really affects the texture. So we're going to take our room temperature eggs and put it into our mixer. You can do the same thing with a hand mixer, but it's a little bit, it's definitely easier with a stand mixer. But if you do it with a hand mixer, it has to be done a little bit differently. We're going to beat these for 6 minutes with the sugar at high speed and then at a medium speed. But if you're using a hand mixer, you do it all at high speed. So you combine the eggs and the sugar in the bowl, and then you're going to beat it at high speed for 3 minutes, and then lower it to a medium speed and beat it another 3 minutes. So now it's been beating for 3 minutes, and we're going to reduce the speed to medium. And we'll give it another 3 minutes. So now our eggs are ready to go. They've been beating for a total of 6 minutes, and this is how they should appear. It should have tripled in volume about. It will run a ribbon, which means when you let it run off the batter, you actually see a ribbon. It doesn't disappear. It will hold shape for a little while on the top of the egg batter. And it's like whipped cream. So now we're going to add the flour and baking powder, which I've mixed together in this bowl, to the egg batter. So you want to do this on a very low speed, and once you combine flour with moisture is when you start working up the gluten in it, and gluten is what makes things tough. And you don't want a tough cake. That's if you're making bread, you want gluten, but not in a cake, okay? So you want to do this relatively quickly without splashing the flour all over the place. So you sprinkle about 1/3 of it in, let it mix in, then do another 1/3. And once it's just about incorporated, you can put in the rest. I usually finish it by hand. Take it off the machine. There's still a little bit of flour that's not mixed in, so you can just use the beater, stir it up a little bit, and it's ready. So we're going to take the butter and milk that have been melted together, and we combine it with the vanilla. So that helps the vanilla distribute better through the batter. And now we're going to take some of the batter and mix it with the milk and butter. And the reason why we're doing this is if you just took the milk and butter and added it to the egg mixture, it would sink to the bottom and it would be hard to mix together. So it's a small amount of butter and milk, so you want to really make sure you scrape it all out. And then you can just stir it in. You don't have to worry that much about losing the volume in this. Okay. Then you pour this batter over the top of this, and also to help it distribute, you can run it off the spatula a little bit. And then just scrape it out. Okay, now we're going to fold. This is like a whole new thing. Folding. It's best to do with a spatula. Start in the middle of the bowl, and then you're making a circular motion from the bottom up the side towards yourself, kind of. You go round, and you can turn the bowl, and you're folding the bottom over the top. And you can see there's a slight difference in the color of the batter that I added, so you can see when it's actually incorporated. So you want to divide your batter between your two cake pans pretty much as evenly as you can. Okay, and then you just spread it out to the edges. Okay, now you're ready to bake it in the oven. It bakes at 350 degrees for about 20 to 30 minutes. And the signs of it being done are it's very well browned. If you press in the middle, it'll spring back. It'll start to pull away from the edges of the pan. And there's always the old standby of sticking the toothpick in the middle and make sure it comes out clean. So now you're ready to take the cake out of the pan. And there you go. If you have trouble, sometimes it does stick a little bit. And if you've allowed the cake to cool in the pan for quite a while, if you just place the pan on the burner of the stove and heat it up a little bit, that will help release it. And you can also use the knife to kind of pull it away a little bit because it is a sponge and it will bounce back. So this is the foundation for your next great adventure in the kitchen. You can do a million things with this cake, and I'm going to show you how to decorate it, how to cut it, how to fill it, how to trim it, how to dress it up, and take it out dancing.